So it's week 3 now in the Big Brother house, and a lot has happened. Finally, since CBS has been airing the racism incidents and the homophobia incidents on the TV show, I really think this is a good learning tool, probably a better learning moment than the show has ever had in its history. Big Brother is not known for, good social storylines that are teaching moments for society. But I think finally with this racism story, there's an arc that's going to happen all season long until the very end, where the show will be defined. Big Brother 15 will be defined by the fact that this was the first time that a storyline began very early in the season, in week 1, and will continue all the way to the end of the season, that can be talked about. People can understand it, they can relate to it, they can talk about it, and this is even engaging people that aren't even fans of the show, because this has been reported in media all over the world. And this was a week of many firsts, actually. I think this was the first time that CBS has ever had to air a disclaimer before the episode saying, that the views of the house guests do not represent the views of CBS. Now, that may have happened maybe once before. Not quite sure. I think there may have been one other incident before where they aired this before one episode, but we'll see as the season goes along if they actually air this disclaimer before every episode. And I think in the future, probably Big Brother 16, they'll just by default have this disclaimer with viewer discretion advised, just to keep people calm. Also, this may have been the first time that Julie Chen did not interview the current HOH in their HOH room. Now, I know there's been incidents before, especially during the double evictions, where there's like 2 HOHs in one night. Those are the exception. Obviously, they don't have a room yet, so they're not going to get interviewed. But I think this might be the first time Julie Chen did not interview the HOH. Because Aaryn did not get the interview with Julie Chen in her room. So, I don't know if this is going to be a constant going forward. We'll have to wait and see on eviction night if Helen gets an interview in the HOH room. That might be interesting. And if Aaryn goes home this week, it doesn't look like she is, to be honest, but if she does go home this week, it'll be very interesting to see if Julie Chen actually interviews her, or whether they just kind of usher her out the side door for her protection. We'll have to wait and see. Now, I had said before the season began that I expected Nick to get voted out very early, and he got voted out week 2 in a blindside eviction. It wasn't really a blindside because I kind of knew that this was coming. But I had predicted he would probably go home early, and it was for different reasons of what it actually turned out to be. I predicted he would go home early because he would just be really annoying and no one would like him, and he would go home pretty early. But it turns out he went home early because the house did not like the other side, which Nick was associating himself with. I don't think Nick knew everything that was going on that side of the house. I don't think he heard all of the comments. He was there when Aaryn was making primarily her Asian remarks, but I don't think he was there when the homophobic remarks were made, and I think he was only present for one of the anti-black comments, as far as I know. I'll have to go back to live feeds, but I think he was only there for one of those, and that was when Gina Marie was speaking to him, and she said the N-word. I was watching the live feeds the night that Bedgate happened. Now, Bedgate is the incident that was shown on this past episode of Big Brother, where Candace's bed got flipped. That was a very huge night of drama. It was right after Helen had just won HOH. And Julie Chen looked so happy when Helen got HOH. I've never seen Julie smile that big. She knew this was going to be a good week and a very good... It might turn the fortunes of the show around. But I was watching on the live feeds when Bedgate happened, and I'm not sure why Aaryn decided she wanted to do it. She just does not like Candace, and she really doesn't have a good reason to not like Candace. But Aaryn and Caitlin and Gina Marie were bullying Jessie in the room about her bed. I don't know why they're picking on Jessie. Jessie hasn't done anything to them. But they were picking on her relentlessly, and it was really pissing me off when I was watching the live feeds. And they kept mocking her. They were like, I feel like this is in high school. You know, you're being immature. You're talking to Jessie that Jessie was being immature when they were the ones that were acting immature. These three girls are going to have a very rough life when they leave this house. Caitlin is going to be hated. She's probably going to be fired from her bar when she goes back. Gina Marie already has been fired. Aaryn has already been fired. And the irony of this is, all week long they were talking on the live feeds about how they wanted to self-evict and leave the house and go back to their lives and go back to their modeling. Because their lives were so much better on the outside, and that they loved their modeling jobs. Well, guess what? You're not going to have a job when you get out. But going back to Bedgate, they had flipped Candace's bed over, and she came in, and you saw it on the episode. She made a comment, you know, you better not flip my bed over again, and then Aaryn starts doing that, ooh, where's your class, girl, where's your class, girl, being very mocking of Candace. Shaniqua was the name that Aaryn uses for Candace quite frequently now. Gina Marie made some racist comments. Now, this was actually a good moment for Gina Marie, because all day long she had been crying profusely over Nick after he had been evicted. So it was a high point of her night. Cannot stand Gina Marie, cannot stand Aaryn, cannot stand Caitlin. I would like to see them all go in a double eviction night. I would like to see Aaryn get voted out, there be an HOH competition, Caitlin get voted out, and then Gina Marie just self-evict herself. That would make a great episode, and I would love to see that happen. Now, as a white person, I can't really understand fully what Candace and Howard are feeling right now in the house. There's no way I can feel that way. There's no way I can completely relate. But watching the live feeds that night, and watching Howard have to carry Candace out, and then they were in the have-not room, and they were crying, and they were praying, and he was just holding her, and then she was crying in the HOH room to the other house guests, trying to explain to them how much it hurt her. And that's where I think the teaching moment's going to come from, because watching this, you know, I know racism exists. I know it's bad. You know, I know it's profoundly disturbing. But to sit there and have to watch their emotions and them agonize over this, I mean, this was troubling, deeply troubling to Howard. And to watch them have to sit there and have to process how they're going to react, what their next move is going to be, how they're going to have to swallow their pride and go and... Candace went in there and hugged Gina Marie and comforted her because she was upset over Nick leaving. Candace is one of my favorites now. Absolutely. I love the girl. I would love it if she would win. Howard is my favorite. Love him, love Candace, and love Judd. Judd, in the huge irony of the show, one would think, and this is stereotyping, one of the biggest problems that the show has had this season, stereotyping him, you would think he would be on Aaryn's side, and on Caitlin's side, and on Gina Marie's side. But he's not. He is very upstanding. He is absolutely adorable. He's a straight talker. He feels the need to defend Jessie when they're bullying her, and she's finally got a showmance now. It's really cute. But there's a lot of Juddisms that he says some very funny shit in the house. It is hilarious. The MVP twist. People are complaining about this left and right because Alyssa got MVP again. Alyssa always gets MVP. I knew at the beginning of the season that MVP was probably set up to benefit her, and probably would happen quite a bit. Because you can get it week after week. Now, with that said, I don't want to see the MVP twist end. I want MVP twist to continue. In fact, I want it in Big Brother 16, 17, 18. I want it to continue. I like the concept. And I think in future seasons it could be very, very beneficial. I love it. I like 3 nominees. Absolutely love that. I would love to see the MVP twist continued. I also would like them to change the rules for HOH. I think it would be very, very, very beneficial to the game if a head of household could compete in every single head of household. They don't have to sit out the next week. You could potentially have a power player that would run the field and could win every single week. That would be a game changer. That's it. I'm done talking about Big Brother 15, the TV show. In the next couple minutes, I just want to cover 2 ideas that I've had. You know that if you go to the App Store, and I'm sure it's on Google Play too, on any of the smartphones, Big Brother has an app. They had promised us this would be the first of possibly many apps that CBS would release, CBS Interactive. And it's the Cornhole game. It started, I think, 2 seasons ago, and they updated it last season. I haven't checked it this season to see if they've updated it with contestants from this year, but it's basically the Cornhole game that gets recycled every year in some capacity near the end of the season in one of the competitions, and you can actually play as the contestants and toss the beanbags and try to get them to go through the holes. It's a very simple game. It's a pretty boring game after a while. That's why I think CBS needs to really jump on this. Have an entirely separate Big Brother app from the CBS app. Have the Cornhole game included, and I would love to see some type of Sims game, like a social media type game. You could play it on Facebook, in the app itself, where you could play with your friends a game of Big Brother. Compete for head of household, veto, have not, vote people out, and ultimately have a winner. I would love to play that game. I've said for years I would love to play a video game based on Big Brother. With the US rules, of course, not the international versions. They're having stupid little video games that they have made for the British version, where they corral chickens and shit. It's stupid. It didn't take off. It never has taken off. And I really think a Big Brother video game would be much more successful than the Survivor video games that they used to put out. They didn't work. I also would like to see more than one edition of Big Brother a year. I would personally like to see a celebrity version of Big Brother. And I would like to see it maybe in the fall. CBS might want to consider doing that. There's several celebrities I think would be great to go into the Big Brother house. Neil Patrick Harris, Lance Bass. Sharon Osbourne from The Talk would be hilarious in the house. I think it would even be interesting if you put Julie Chen herself in the house. And instead of her being a host of the game, have her play the game. I know they do it for those media day things before the season begins on The Talk, where the ladies of The Talk go into the house and play a mini game. That's all scripted and staged. I think it would be fun if Julie Chen was one of the first contestants on the first edition of US Celebrity Big Brother. It'd be hilarious. I would love it. And of course you'd have to have, some other F-list celebrities. Kathy Griffin would be great. I would love Kathy Griffin in there. Let's see. Who else? I would say Kim Kardashian, but I don't think she would ever do it because she has her own reality TV show, and there'd be really no reason for her to go into the house. But who would you like to see on a celebrity edition of Big Brother? Or would you like some hybrid mix? Maybe celebrity Big Brother and veterans returning, and see how well they mesh, and if a veteran or a celebrity would end up winning. I think it's an interesting concept, and I would love to see it.